of the consensus worked out by the Urhobo and Isoko leaders in favor of James Otobo. That was the beginning of the name on the Urhobo and Isoko homogeneity, which has continued to plague our oneness till today and collective interest up to this day. But however, we are grateful to the Almighty God that we are finally finding our track, and it begins from the conversation we are starting here today. So, at this junction, I want to digress to tell a story of some incidents without having to bore you. I know our endurance level might be challenged at the moment. So many years ago, a job vacancy was advertised in a multinational establishment. A qualified son of Urhobo applied for the job. And indeed, he was certified fit. He cleared everything. He was good to go. But as he was leaving, one of the interviewers asked him and said, "Find out, where are you from?" He says, "An Urhobo." He lost the job because he was an Urhobo. And why did he lose the job? He said the man that left there was an Isoko man. That's how the gentleman qualified but not accepted. And the man could not understand where, though he's qualified, where he came from, where he's coming from, is working against him. That is why we must take steps. We must take steps to try and strategize. It's all about strategy. It's all about planning. It's all about planning. I also give you an incident, sir. Not quite long ago, an Urhobo lady who was from the same neighborhood had the misfortune of being robbed of her money while visiting another neighborhood. Immediately, one of the persons who came to the scene got to know her origins as an Urhobo. He took care of her, made sure she got, where to stay, and gave money. That is what we should be doing for one another. So, as I begin to conclude my message and my paper this morning, or this afternoon rather, I like us to understand, because sir, some of the feedbacks and the narratives we get when we were going from place to place, seeing one President General, one Ajuwe, one of you, is that of suspicion and mistrust. That's what you get. They say, Urhobo, don't go there. That the Urhobo man will elbow you. They say the Isoko you can. Sir, we must live beyond these prejudices. It's not working for us. That is the way it has been for over half a century. There must be a bigger picture. There must be a bigger picture. We're also hearing the feedback we are getting that this whole planning is somebody's political agenda. No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. What you see here today, sir, this conference was put together by ordinary people. You can check it anywhere. Ordinary people who wanted to do something extraordinary. And if you find anything contrary, call me a liar. That somebody, this is a political agenda for somebody, it's a lie, sir. There were people who are determined to change the narrative. Sir, God has positioned these two brothers, so sir, we must take advantage of it. We just must take advantage of it, sir. Sir, I'm in this forum because I see a future, sir. That's why I'm here. Sir, by the privilege of God, what I'm going to eat or what my children will eat, I don't think we lack it, sir. We don't lack it. God has placed it in our hands. But we are here, sir. We are here, sir, so that we can push this agenda. So that we can push this agenda, sir. It's not the interest of any political party. It's not the interest of any politician. No. We see something and we want to change the narrative. And I believe that with everyone here, God is going to help us. Amen. Sir, me standing before you here today, sir, I was trained and educated by my grandmother. And you know, children that are brought up by grandparents, you know the way they are. My grandmother was a traditional birth attendant for 75 years. In a clinic, she has delivered a woman. That woman grew up, she delivered, the child delivered. That 3 generations of family delivered in a clinic in Saple, in the Ghana area. Her name is Mama Mary. She's quite popular in that area from people who are from there. That's who my grandmother was. When I wanted to travel abroad in 1980, my grandmother, I said, I want to go to the UK. She opened her mama at the spot and gave me 421 naira to buy ticket. I don't want to bore you with this story, but do you know why I'm telling you this story? She was a traditional attendant that was trained by Isoko. So consequently, by that training, I got my education, sir. Sir, I know if they ask everyone to share their testimony here today, sir, we will not leave this place. Either by an Urhobo man or an Isoko man. We have a reverend father that should have been a speaker. I hear he's ably represented by Reverend Father Christopher Ogaga here today. I was talking to him. He had told me that he did his master. A reverend father, he did his masters in Italy. All his fees, his accommodation, everything. I think he mentioned Watership Weber, not living not far from there, because he took me to us. He's the one that paid every time. It was an Isoko man. Sir, if we know where we are coming from, sir, there's the need to reset. There's the need to strategize, sir. Sir, what makes us tick as a people, sir? What makes us tick is our natural and human resources. I want to applaud everyone. I want to thank you once again. I want to thank my brothers and sisters that they were moving day and night to make this conference happen. The Lord will richly bless you. God bless you all. Urhobo Isoko Wado. Isoko Urhobo Wado. Urhobo Isoko Urhobo. The Lord bless you all.
Hello. Can we give Deacon Chris? Let's give him another round of applause. Quickly, we'd like to call on someone very special to buttress and also to support what Deacon Chris has said. Ladies and gentlemen, to talk on event and incident which turns the two ethnic nationalities on each other, we'd like to call on Bishop Oro Iteheri. Please, let's give him a round of applause. My bishop, sir. How long? 5 minutes will not be too short, sir.
Praise God. Why will I not protest? And Urhobo man spoke for 1 hour plus. You want to give me 5 minutes? Do I have right to protest or not?
Forgive them.
I'm not on protest.
Forgive them.
Praise God. Well, I believe everything that the last speaker has given us. Please celebrate him in absentia. If I listen to him very well, the average Urhobo nation, Urhobo clan, the average one, has a trace to one place or the other in Isoko. I have in this whole year a lot of us, Isoko, married to Urhobo. Urhobo, married to Isoko. Can we truly separate these two nations? So, but the topic I was actually made to talk about is, what are the events through incidents we turned the two ethnic nationalities on each other? How did it happen? How did we get here? Now hear this. I will present these issues as much as I understand, but they have solutions. The only way out of this dilemma, God will not come down to help us. Our help is within the hall. What is it that will write off or rewrite the history? The ugly side or these ugly events that have turned us on each other? It is in the hands of our traditional rulers. It's in the hands of ministers of the gospel like myself. It's in the hands of politicians who are opportune by God to lead God's people. The clergy, the royal fathers, and the politicians. And I'd like you to listen to the problems that we are about to dare to solve. The truth about it is this: there is hardly any man, any true man. When I moved to Warri about 23 years ago, the only company I rented before God gave me mine was owned by an Ogbe man, Urhobo, Chief J.I. Asini. And Chief Asini told me, Isoko and Urhobo are one. In this compound, you will not be my tenant, you will be my neighbor. So we're calling neighbor, neighbor. And the second rule was, you don't speak English to me. Speak Isoko, I understand Isoko. I will speak my Urhobo to you, you must understand Urhobo. And we lived in that compound like father and son until we left. I'm able to tell you that even where I left to, where I moved to, my own room and parlor, was made possible by an Urhobo man, Isoko, one chief, without sentiments. Without sentiments. Now, can I shock you? Hear this. There is, when my father was alive, my father passed on 8 years ago. I said, if you are going to contest election and Igor Mori brings his ballot box, I will vote for him. Why did I say that? It was one man when this system, this republic began. he was able to sow here and there. Countless, mindless, whether it was an Urhobo or Isoko, he was able to establish a number of persons like that. Now, if we can carry this mind, it will help us a long way. But where did the separation begin? Number one, as much as this last speaker had been able to tailor it down, that the average Urhobo nation, Urhobo kingdom, came out of Isoko, do we really accept that practice? In reality, the other day I went to the king of Efroto, Ajuwe, and I introduced myself as an Isoko man. He said, oh, Efroto people came from Merowa. I am an Isoko, and he treated me as such. Any attention that was needed, he gave it to me. My boy went to marry at Okbara Inland, and they told him, you are Isoko. He said, oh, we are from Iri. What the native will pay is what you will pay, 129 or thereabout. Now, royal fathers, if we begin this kind of religion, if we awaken them, it will help a great deal. But first, let's know the problems. Whereas many of us know that there is a strong original tie between Isoko and Urhobo, it is hardly recognized. It is always consistently despised. The Isoko man had not been given his rightful place. This is very important. Number two, the Isoko man, please join that person to clap. That's the only way we can heal it. Yes, that's the only way we can heal it. I won't take your time. Number two, the Isoko man has it in their political history that Chief Osadebe Dennis, like rightly mentioned, you know, he mentioned how Chief James Otobo was serving in the Western House of Assembly. Chief Kago Mamodia was serving in the Federal House of Assembly of Representative in Lagos. And when it was time for Midwest to become on our own 63, it was expected that one of these two at least will be a prime minister. What happened? The position due the Isoko man was kicked and shifted up to Dennis Osadebe in order to make the Urhobo man the governor, because he cannot get put. Issues like this, as we grow up, are there in the books. Number three, the total sidelining of the name Isoko for 30 years, between 1932 and 1952, by the powers of the Urhobo and the creation of Sobo division. Sobo representing Urhobo division. The name Isoko, like, look at it. Isoko, okay, Urhobo Isoko Unity Conference. I feel involved. But any attempt that was made in those 30 years to bring the Isoko name, like it happened like Jekri Urhobo division, they could accept Jekri Urhobo division, but they were not ready to accept Urhobo Isoko or Isoko Urhobo division. This has been a pain to Isoko, even the unborn. Number four, the abrogation of Isoko Court of Appeal only and Ase District in 1932. As soon as the Sobo division was created, one of the first achievements was that they squash off anything and everything. Who is that person grumbling there? Please keep quiet. You must hear the truth. What Isoko had was removed from them in 1932. I wasn't yet born there, but history has told me. How do you want me to see it? Number 5. The Urhobo man would prefer to accept Jekri Sopo division as a name rather than Isoko Urhobo division. History has proven this. Number 6. Outright and open insulting classification of the Isokos by the Urhobos ruling class. Take an example. On 1st July 1944, 12th January 1945, the same man, Reverend Agoriwe, classified Isoko to be understood, according to him, to quote him, Isoko is to be understood in the same way as Okpe, Jese, and other Urhobo subgroups. So Isoko is not a nation. Remember, when these things were done, we were not born. Then to worsen it, his assistant chief Ugan came on 12 January 1945 to put a hammer. He said, look, Isoko cannot be named against, he cannot come out as a nation. He is actually a nickname of one of the Urhobo villages. Now, you will discover that these things are painful. Guess what? Let me go back to the church. The church, Reverend S.O. Feturi and Isoko man was ordained a priest of the Anglican Church in 1946. He was later sent to St. Andrew's, Warri. On posting to St. Andrew at about 1951, when he got there, he saw that among the Anglican Church, there was Urhobo class, there was Shekiri class. So he now carved out Isoko class. This thing offended Bishop Archdeacon Agoriwe. And for daring to do that, to pass out, he was taken and sent to the Far East. Okay. To tell you.
We are the same. God bless you in Jesus' name. Thank you, our Father. Thank you for giving God the highest praise. Quickly, we'd like to invite my co-compare, the person of Ejiro Umukoro, for the next item. Please let's give Ejiro Umukoro a round of applause.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was a performance. It was good to have yourselves on your feet, wasn't it? Did you feel good? Did you like it? Let's do some more.
Urhobo was a corruption, and they wanted Isoko to just be a village. Chief Ernest Oromona is my name, they are over waiting. I think it should not be like that. As we are, it's okay. Better. However, every Isoko man, particularly, I must emphasize it, the ones that are here, they are just here to hear what you people have to say. When it comes to something that an Urhobo man will need Isoko man to do for him because our age of government. But when it comes to division of Isoko Gigi, it has entered the subconsciousness of the Isoko people. So what I want us to do is that, please, like the bishop said, we need prayer. The things that brought us together from beginning, let us emphasize those ones.
What are those things? That's what we're going to. This is the solution we're going to. The culture. What else?
The culture is one of those things that brought us together. Look at all our majesties.
Right.
The way they dress is the way the Isoko traditional majesty will dress.
All right.
Which means we are all one. However, you cannot say just because we dress together, then in derision you refer to the other person. That divides the people.
All right.
So we should
Your points are noted. We must stop doing that. So that's a mindset thing. Yes, I will talk, sir. But you know what we're doing now? Hello, everyone. There is something I do. Yes, you will, sir. You do. Whatever you do not try to cast aspersions. Do not make it too opinionated and bitter. Do not make it about attack. Do not make it about try to boil down more and whip up unnecessary sentiment. That we came here says one thing, that we are united in our thoughts, that this has to work. So, you see, we are having this interaction, and I'll make it very quick, everyone, is this. This is not your moment to come and vent. No. So, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you all. But I will quickly just allow one or two, don't worry. We'll manage this situation. So here's what we're going to do. Ladies and gentlemen, please, there's going to be somebody who's going to come around you, right? You're going to write. I want you all to write it on paper. Let's get somebody who would write this on paper. We'll take some of your points that you have. These are very important points. So let's quickly get someone to start taking the paper, their point of views and all of that. So, let us quickly, I will, sir. Hold on a minute, sir. Don't worry, sir. Oh, okay. Daddy, wait. He has the microphone. I will come to you. Like I said, Daddy, this is all about us. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. So, us now. And my Isoko na disjointed Isoko. So I will break it the way now. Daddy, whatever you do, sir.
That's all right.
Okay, sir. Thank you, Your Honor.
Urhobo wado. Isoko wado. Urhobo, Isoko, dada na japa sana. Mimi yao. Ede kijetine. Ilololo bo Isoko Urhobo omi akugbe. Oya jetine na. Ìdí ekide tí rẹ̀ mẹ́tò tọ́gbọ́ pé kí kó àwọn èméjì ìdí ekide tí rẹ̀
Do we all understand what our headmaster is saying? Because some people don't hear.
Okay, let's listen now. Now, maybe Urhobo.
Because we're not getting anything when you talk.
Abakero. Then Abakero. Igbole to tadira sirena. Obora etana ne ofori ne yiri kugbe. Anotare Zaina Kiriru that bishop. Etehiri. Brother that in and yene that in Urhobo book Isoko. Yeko bobo, go de mwele ne tere. Ogoro amire ne wo bakere na onya de wuya. Onya atana. Na bijama ni yero tidetine na atana de sio basana akanu manyango mablojon. Amakero. Ewo tidetine na Ebiko, this one Kokolu Urhobo inside UPU. Ojibiko this one the Kokolu Isoko IDU. Ikwale totally what we move. Irene Longana, Urhobo, Isoko, Ijejera. This is a total member with that Tana. And Yan Rotana Yeta. Ikwale you go na Murisi kwete kukwetine na. Ayano marimu makupuko. Aisipo yina. Aikiria. Aikilulu. Ade kiyote nunena. Ade ato wewe na ri. Abada ka mumemo. Abada ka mumemo rote adawari. But Federal government of Nigeria in that body unit with Nigeria to be. Delta state of Nigeria in that body unity Delta state. Hopefully that it will gain Ghana. If one of you married, you were okay, I will see my people at the unity. I didn't do it, I didn't I made the wape, Horwar Wabo, I made the wape to do Wabo. If one and I Ruru, UPU, IDU, when we said that I key a book of Juloi, and an Araki at Rasana, Okariago, Yeguya. I had to look at you. I know for that country. Urhobo government is a Jabatan. He's all about the Jabatan. Urhobo is a family yamba.
All right, I will do something here. I said something earlier. I can tell that to say, going down that road, he has not only disconnected me, I was not part of that conversation. What do I mean? I do not hear the Urhobo, and I do not hear the Isoko very well too. So it's not my fault. So going forward, my dearest people, he has spoken, and that is fine. I only wish I had 1/3 of what he was saying, so I can't even respond to it. But here is what I know I can do. I'm going to balance the scale. Daddy, after you spoke, you come and be going and show up your heart. So let me quickly balance the scales now. I'm going to balance the scales. And I see what you have just come out here. I'm not going to be hot. I'm not going to stay hot. That will be coming down. What will be coming down? Alright, let me quickly balance the scales now. I'm going to allow just one that to speak. And after he speaks, there's something people have done which I say you should all do. I've asked that you write down some of your own points because we're going to take them away with us. And we're going to address as much as we can. So here is what I'm going to do. I need to respect it. It's important that we respect it. Because we are adults here, very mature minds. Let's act. For us to have come this far, that's a good thing for all of us. So here's what I'm going to do, and I'm begging your indulgence to consider that. So I'm going to give the microphone to our daddy here, and after that, like I said, I'll collect all your pieces. I need to balance it. I need to balance it.
Let me take balance.
Daddy, you will give me the honor, sir, of speaking in a language that all of us here at least hears. And we'll make it very short. And there will be no sentiments.
Urhobo, Isoko Ado, Igede Ado, Ekwe Ado. So it will be very loud. Yeah? Well, you all know my name is Chief Kokori. I'm a freedom fighter for this country. I'm a freedom fighter. And I'm a notable prisoner of conscience of this country. And again, I'm a nationalist and a patriot of Urhobo and Isoko nationality. We came here actually because these are certain things that those of us who have seen it all has troubled us. And actually, when I read this Urhobo Isoko forum in the media, I took it upon myself to contact the organizers that I will only just come here to make some inspirational speeches for the people. Because it pains me to my marrow when I see the Urhobo man and the Isoko man in their useless, hopeless dichotomy. Urhobo, Isoko of Urhobo. Those of us who were born in Wari in the 40s, in the early 40s, we knew the battle that the Urhobos, Isoko, Kohani, the Wari. They were always on the same platform. How can somebody come here under the clergy? And then he falsified a lot of history. A lot of history. Urhobo in those days, I met her okay, I mean more I met Chief Akiri. I met Kabo Mamodia. I was in Wari. You talk of St. Andrew's School. St. Andrew's Church and primary school is where I attended in the early 40s. Who ruled St. Andrew's? Is Isoko?
Clap for that. Okay, boss.
The Isoko people were not sure of Mr. Chief Etoroma. Etoroma was the principal of St. Andrew's School throughout the 40s to the 50s when I was there. You hear of Mr. Apena. These are famous Isoko people. The whole churches, the pastors were all Isoko people. That's St. Andrew's Anglican School, Wari, where I attended from APC to Standard 6. Then how do you tell me in Wari that the whole robot, the whole Shakiri, can be?
It's a big lie.
It's unheard of. In one robot, Isoko, there's a town crier. Okay, now when it was a small place, I'm telling you of the 40s. Chief Bukoromomo died in 1948. The Akiris, they died. We were all family. And what I'm trying to say is that Urhobo, Urhobo, Isoko, I can only meet you number so, Okele Road. You see,
as previous speakers had said that we should not talk about the things that brought our division, I wish to observe rather that the purpose of history actually is to know. Hello? May I have attention, please? Thank you very much. It is very important that we understand that if we do not understand what brought division in the past, we might repeat the same mistake again. So one of the purposes of history is to understand what happened, accept it, so that we can progress without repeating the same mistake again. Now, it is important to know for the first reason that all of us, our history states that Urhobos, Isoko, they all come from Benin. That's one of our history. A deeper understanding of the history tells us also that some of us Isoko, we come from the Anambra area and all that. All these are exhaustively done on my work, but generally we come from, we agree that most of us come from Benin, and that most of us, we migrated from one Urhobo community to Isoko community, and Isoko community to Urhobo. And Ubie, for instance, we have a trace of history from Erokwa, from one Ijo land to another and all that. So we have a common ancestry. That is one thing that all of us should accept. Now, in the course of time, actually, our commonality was broken down. It was broken down because at the point in time, the Isokos, they felt that the Urhobos were trying to annex them under the Sogo division. It is important that we understand this, that if the Isokos says they are not Urhobo, we should respect it. We should respect it. They are not Urhobo, but they are our brothers. It is very, very important. If other Urhobo community says they are Urhobo, then they are Urhobo. If these people say they are not Urhobo, then we respect it. That they are not Urhobo does not mean that they are not our brothers or they are not our sisters. This understanding is very important, because in studying the history, what I discovered in the history from the 1930s up to 1963 is that the Isokos, they were insisting that we are not Urhobo people. And I think we should respect that so that we can begin an effective negotiation. It is when we recognize our individual identity that we can actually discuss very well. Because we're talking about self-determination. So every person should be allowed to determine their self and their future, while we guide one another towards a progressive development. Now, having said that, this is where we are now. Where we are now is that the Urhobos are distinct, the Isokos are distinct. Since 1963, this is how it has been, and it has been like that. But in spite of that, we have been living in peace. We have married one another, we have done business with one another. People still believe that we are same. We are all here dressed as Urhobo and Isoko people. We are looking as one people. If a stranger comes here, actually, they cannot determine who is Urhobo, who is Isoko, because we have many things in common. So what we are trying to do now is, can we look on those things that are common, and again work towards a future based on certain principles, so that we can do those things that will help us to live in unity and grow together. Now, and this brings us to our discussion, managing our disagreements as brothers. It is important to note that various forms of division need to be healed through honest dialogue, says Pope John Paul II in his encyclical Ecclesia Africa. There is no way we can bring about unity if there is no honest dialogue about the past and about the present and in view of the future. So this is very, very important that we take note of that. Honesty among the Urhobo people and the Isoko people is very important in this. Now, this honest dialogue will make us see what brought about our divisions in the past, and what in the present could bring about division again, or in the future, and how can we manage it with honesty on both of our sides. So the challenge of dialogue is fundamentally the challenge of transforming relationship between individuals, nations, and people in religion, political, economic, social, and cultural lifestyles. So in every aspect of our life, there must be honest dialogue about how we want to go ahead with it. If that honest dialogue is not there, then we will make same old mistake, or we trip underfoot certain truth that will trip us tomorrow. We sweep underfoot certain truth that will trip us tomorrow. So, and that brings about truth and reconciliation. The South African example. Now, after the apartheid regime, we saw Nelson Mandela, which was quoted by one of our previous speakers, bringing about the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. According to Priscilla Hayden, the most straightforward reason to set up a Truth Commission is that of sanctioned fact-finding to establish an accurate record on a country's past and thus help to provide a fair record of a country's history and its government's much disputed fact. So if we don't set up, if we don't go on the way of truth and reconciliation, that is accepting the truth about what brought us here, and sitting down on the round table to reconcile, we might repeat old mistakes again, and that we don't want to do. So we can apply the same model of truth and reconciliation in healing the mistakes and the hurts of years back. And one of those things I want to say is that in history, the Isoko brothers have said we are not Isoko in the Isoko division. We want to be brothers, but we are not Isoko. So I think that truth should be accorded them with respect. That does not make them not to be our brothers. Because even brothers from the same womb, they are unique. Some are tall, some are short, some are fair, some are fat. Now, having said that, despite the genuine claim by both Isoko and Urhobo parties being distinct, we agree that we have a lot of things in common. Marriages, all of us drink the same ogogoro, it's not so, the same palm wine. We marry in the same way. As I said earlier on, we are almost all dressed in the same way. So, going forward, let us try to avoid this superiority game. Superiority game is thinking that I am better than an Urhobo man, I am better than an Isoko man. If that is there, nobody wants that. Everybody will fight to the last drop to say that I am superior. So we respect each other's dignity as the image and likeness of God. As a human being that has a future and has right to decide how his or her life wants to go to. So promoting equality among ourselves, therefore, would mean that even though we realize that the Urhobo nation is larger than the Isoko nation, that does not mean that we should not know that they are our brothers and give them what is their fair due. And the Isoko also not realize that the Isoko are the Urhobos are their brothers and give the Urhobos their fair due. Fair due meaning that in constituted and the youth president of the Isoko Development Union added his voice, it became a weightier voice. If we don't unite together, it is very easy for us to be split and exploited. And we know currently that in Nigeria, international oil companies, the federal government as it is, seemingly is exploiting us. So let us try to work together and avoid being divided by people. Then lastly, judicious use of natural resources. If we want to bring harmony among ourselves, let us try our best to ensure that the natural resources that we have, oil and other things, that it is judiciously shared among the Urhobos and the Isokos. Whenever any Urhobo person is in power, try your best to ensure that if something good goes to the Isoko, to the Urhobos, then we have with the Urhobos, our brothers, let them have their share. Let them not feel as if that, oh, Urhobo is in power today, then we forget them. That is what is happening in Nigeria. Obaro Ekimi says that anybody who is in power wants to gather everything for himself and forget the other people. No, it shouldn't be like that. So if an Isoko man is in power, recognize that the Urhobos, they are our brothers and give them what is their fair share. It is when we feel that we are not honestly being given our judicious share, that is our fair share, that is where we say, I want to be separate so that I can identify myself very well. So with these few points, my dear brothers and sisters, I want to say that we can work as one people. Let us remove selfishness. Let us remove selfishness, greed, and superiority. And before you know, we can form a greater nation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you. These, their dreams, the Isoko Urhobo need to achieve within the shortest period of time. And I think these are the things it's going to put to us. So you are welcome, sir. Please bear with us. We are almost getting through. Thank you, sir.
Urhobo, Isoko, Urhobo, Isoko, Bari, Misiawan, Mero Biakolo, Mamo, Yibo Biakolo, Uriemno, Uriemno, Mugiame Mufo.
I don't maybe all this train don't start.
Ubeko Cameraria.
total conference. My main objective was to say a few things that will remind us. Because right here, a few minutes ago, one of our eminent persons said, let's forget history. But I'm glad that Father Abaka, Reverend Dr. Abaka, and his spokesman, Father Abaka was my junior in school, and I'm glad that he made the point. Those who wish to forget history are condemned to repeating it. Are you listening? Those who wish to forget history are condemned to repeating it. If you wish to set aside history, you are condemned to repeating history. Those errors of the past that you are trying to resolve and you wish to forget them, you will repeat those errors. We don't try to remember historical facts and incidents merely because we want to do navel gazing, merely because we want to stay in the past. No. We do so in order to avoid repeating the errors of the past. I have never really heard people who have made particular reference to the problems that brought us disunity. I haven't really heard people speak the truth to the matter. How is it that two closely related people begin to have suspicion of each other?